All right, let's jump right in. We all know what it's like to feel stressed, right? To feel overwhelmed. But what if the biggest threat, the real enemy, isn't something out there in the world, but it's actually how we react to what's going on inside our own heads? Today, we're going to explore a totally new way to handle our internal world.
This quote it absolutely nails it. Acknowledging our feelings is step one. But let's be honest, most of us were taught to do the exact opposite. Just bottle it up, ignore it, push it down. This simple little phrase gives us a brand new roadmap. Name it, feel it, and then you can actually heal it. Think about it. Our bodies have this brilliant survival system that evolved over thousands of years to deal with external dangers, right? A predator in the bushes. But what happens when the threat is something internal, like a wave of shame or that knot of fear in your stomach? Well, that's when that same brilliant system can kind of turn on us. It's a total mismatch for the kind of world we live in now. So let's break down exactly how this happens. Because when our survival instincts get pointed inward, they stop being a defense mechanism and they start becoming this really destructive cycle.
Okay, so this is where it gets really fascinating. That classic fight, flight, freeze response, it gets all twisted. The fight response, that turns into self-criticism. It's that voice in your head that just beats you up. Flight becomes self-isolation. We push people away right when we need connection the most. And freeze, that becomes self-absorption. We just get stuck, lost in our own thoughts, replaying those same mental movies over and over. It's like this unholy trinity that works against our own well-being.
And this chart just lays it all out so clearly. It shows that chain reaction. You can see how fight leads to self-criticism, which is a state of high arousal, a common trauma symptom. Flight turns into that self-isolation, that avoidance. But, and this is the most important part, look at that last column. It shows us that for every single one of these painful reactions, there is a direct healing antidote. There's another way. All right, so if our default wiring is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's not about fighting harder against ourselves. It's about a fundamental shift in how we relate to ourselves in the first place. Let's look at how we can build this new way of being.
Mindfulness. It's a word we hear all the time. But the most important part of this definition, the real secret sauce, is those last two words, without judgment. It's about learning how to step out of the role of being a harsh critic and into the role of being a curious, even kind observer of your own experience.
And this is a huge, huge misunderstanding a lot of people have. The goal isn't to engineer a life where you only feel happy. That's impossible. The goal is to build up the capacity to be with all of it, the good, the bad, the neutral, without letting those feelings hijack the system. It's about learning to trust that you can handle whatever comes up. So you can kind of think of it as having two sides, like two sides of the same coin. The first part is receptive. It's about just allowing things to be exactly as they are in this moment. The second part is active, and that's where we choose how to respond with wisdom, instead of just reacting on autopilot from that old place of fear.
Okay, so this all sounds good, but how do we actually start? What's the first step? Well, the most direct path out of the crazy stories in our head and into right here, right now, is through the body. So often, we live completely from the neck up, right? We're just lost in our thoughts, totally disconnected from the simple physical reality of being here. But every single emotion we have has a physical signature. That tightness in your chest, the butterflies in your stomach. The body is our anchor because it's always, always in the present moment.
And the body scan is probably one of the most powerful, foundational practices to rebuild this connection. It's really just a formal way of bringing this gentle, curious attention to different parts of your body, one at a time. And I promise, it's way simpler than it sounds. You just find a comfortable way to sit or lie down, you tune into the feeling of your breath for a moment, and then you just slowly, slowly guide your attention through your body. You're not trying to change or fix anything, you're just noticing. Oh, there's some tingling in my toes. Huh, my hands feel warm. Each little observation is a moment you've come back to the present.
So once we have a little more ability to stay present with what's actually happening in our bodies and minds, we can bring in the real heavy hitter, the most powerful antidote to that internal stress response, self-compassion. To put it really simply, it's about treating yourself with the exact same care and kindness you would automatically offer to a good friend who was struggling. And it's not self-pity, it's not self-indulgence. It is a courageous act of turning warmth back toward yourself. Now, remember that unholy trinity we talked about earlier? Self-criticism, isolation, and absorption? Well, this is where we close the loop. It is so perfect.
Self-criticism is directly countered by self-kindness. That painful feeling of self-isolation is met by a sense of common humanity. And that tunnel vision of self-absorption is balanced by the open, spacious awareness of mindfulness. It's a perfect solution. So let's just quickly break those down. Think of self-kindness as your own internal supportive friend, offering warmth instead of criticism. Common humanity is that powerful, powerful reminder that you are not alone in this. Suffering is part of being human. And mindfulness is the tool that lets you actually look at your pain with clarity without getting totally swept away by it.
So what's the long-term benefit of all this work? I mean, what's the real payoff here? It's all about building genuine, durable resilience.
Psychologists talk about something called the window of tolerance. And really, it's just that sweet spot where you feel like you can handle what life is throwing at you. Now, when we get pushed outside that window, we either flip up into hyperarousal, that's fight or flight, feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or we drop down into hypoarousal, that's the freeze response, feeling numb, checked out, shut down.
And what practices like mindfulness and self-compassion do is they act like emotional strength training. They gradually, over time, widen that window. We just become less reactive. We have a greater capacity to stay present and balanced, even when life gets really messy. And this isn't just some nice, fluffy idea. It has real-world consequences. A wider window means you can handle more stress at work without burning out. It means you can respond to your family more skillfully instead of just reacting. And maybe most importantly, it gives you the space to consciously choose a state of contentment. And this quote just captures that shift perfectly. Joy isn't just something that happens to us when all the external circumstances line up just right. It's a practice. It is an active choice we make to cultivate well-being from the inside out, moment by moment by moment. So I'll leave you with this question to just kind of reflect on. When you get really quiet and you ask yourself, what is standing between me and happiness right now? What comes up? Is it a thought, a difficult feeling, a story you tell yourself? Whatever it is, maybe now you have a few new tools to meet it with a little more awareness and a little more kindness. That's our time for this explainer. Thanks so much for joining me.